Imagine having so much money that you could spend $30 million just to save your favorite hobby from collapse. Or pulling in $10 million a year while you sleep. These aren't fantasies. This is the reality for South Africa's wealthiest women. Today we're ranking the 7 richest women in the country. And trust me, the way number 1 built her empire will leave you speechless. Let's start with a woman whose family turned a single handshake into $150 million. Number 7. Elizabeth Bradley. Net worth $150 million. Elizabeth Bradley's fortune didn't come from building startups or closing billion-dollar deals. It came from one strategic family decision that changed everything. In 2008, her family sold their 25% stake in Toyota South Africa to the parent company in Japan for $320 million. Bradley, as head of the family's holding company Wesco Investments, oversaw the entire transaction. But here's where it gets interesting. Her father, Albert Wessels, was the visionary who brought Toyota to South Africa back in the early 1960s. He built the operation from nothing, turning it into a cornerstone of the country's automotive industry. Decades later, when Toyota wanted full ownership, the family cashed out. The payout was massive. Wesco distributed $99 million to shareholders through a special dividend. The Wessels family owned nearly 59% of Wesco, which meant they personally pocketed $58.4 million in cash. And that was on top of another $35.6 million they'd received the year before. Total haul, over $129 million. Bradley doesn't live flashy. No exotic car collections. No tabloid headlines. Her wealth is quiet, deliberate, generational. She controls valuable real estate in Parktown, one of Johannesburg's most exclusive areas. She's held positions on the boards of Standard Bank, Sasol, and Anglo Gold. The real luxury? Total financial security built on her family's legacy, managed with precision and kept far from public scrutiny. Number 6. Magda Wierzycka. Net worth $155 to $170 million. From inherited automotive wealth, we shift to a woman who built her fortune from scratch in the cutthroat world of finance. Magda Wierzycka didn't inherit her money. She earned it by turning a small asset management firm into a publicly traded powerhouse. Her wealth is directly tied to Signia, the company she grew into a major player on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. By late 2025, Signia was valued at $259.5 million. Viazika and her associates control about 59% of the company, putting her personal stake between $155 and $170 million. But here's the real flex, the dividends. In the 2024 financial year alone, Signia paid out $10.4 million directly to Viazika and related entities. That's not a valuation on paper. That's actual cash hitting her accounts. In just the first half of 2025, another $4.8 million followed. This is recurring, predictable wealth, the kind that provides absolute financial freedom. Beyond the company shares, Viazika owns the office buildings where Signia operates. She's not just collecting management fees, she's collecting rent from her own business. It's a layered wealth strategy that keeps money flowing from multiple angles. Her lifestyle isn't about sports cars or private jets. It's about control. Building a financial empire that runs itself, generates millions annually, and operates with surgical precision. That's the difference between inheriting wealth and engineering it. Number 5. Irene Charnley. Net worth $150 million. Irene Charnley started her career as a union negotiator fighting for miners' rights. Decades later, she became one of the most powerful figures in African telecommunications. That's not a lucky break. That's strategic evolution. Her fortune came from stock options she earned as a top executive at MTN Group, one of Africa's telecom giants. When she left in 2007, her shares were valued at $150 million. But Charley didn't retire. She launched Smile Telecoms with one goal: bring high-speed internet to underserved markets across Africa. In 2015, she closed a $365 million funding round for Smile, one of the largest telecom deals Africa had ever seen. The funding included $50 million from South Africa's Public Investment Corporation and $315 million in loans. With that capital, she rolled out 4G networks across Nigeria, Uganda, and Tanzania, using the highly coveted 800 MHz spectrum. Owning rights to that spectrum is power. It's infrastructure control on a continental scale. But here's where things get complicated. Charley stepped down from Smile's leadership in early 2021, keeping a lower profile. Yet her name remains tied to a massive legal battle. In May 2025, South Africa's Supreme Court ruled that local courts have jurisdiction over Turkcell's $4.2 billion claim against MTN related to a mobile license dispute in Iran. MTN is seeking a constitutional review. Charley's legacy isn't just wealth, it's networks, literal and figurative, that connect millions of people across an entire continent. Even with legal storms brewing, her impact on African telecommunications is undeniable. Number 4. Wendy Appelbaum. Net worth $259 million. From Telecom towers to vineyards, Wendy Appelbaum's wealth sits at the intersection of old money and modern luxury branding. She's the daughter of South African insurance magnate Donald Gordon, which gave her a significant head start. But what she did with that advantage is where things get interesting. Appelbaum controls De Morganson Wine Estate, one of South Africa's most prestigious wine brands. Here's the twist: the estate plays classical music to the grapevines 24 hours a day. Not as background ambiance for tourists, she genuinely believes it improves the wine quality. Unconventional? Absolutely. Effective? The estate's Chenin Blanc regularly wins major international awards, so the market seems to agree. The estate itself, located in the heart of South Africa's premier wine region, is worth tens of millions. But the brand value, that's where the real wealth compounds. De Morganson produces hundreds of thousands of bottles annually, many sold internationally, creating a continuous prestige revenue stream. Her financial muscle extends beyond wine. The family foundation has contributed $23 million to establish the Gordon Institute of Business Science and the Donald Gordon Medical Center. That's not charitable pocket change, that's transformative institutional funding. During a wine farm auction dispute, Appelbaum casually bid $3.2 million before withdrawing over irregularities. The ability to deploy that kind of capital on a whim, then walk away without hesitation, reveals the depth of her resources. Her wealth is a hybrid model, inherited foundation, cultivated through luxury brand building, and wielded with the confidence that comes from never having to think twice about seven-figure decisions. Number 3. Mary Slack. Net worth over $1 billion. We just jumped from hundreds of millions to 10 figures. This is a different league entirely. Mary Slack is an heir to the legendary Oppenheimer family, the dynasty that dominated the global diamond trade for generations. Her fortune was cemented in 2011 when the Oppenheimers sold their 40% stake in De Beers for $5.1 billion. That single transaction funneled billions into family investment funds and trusts. Today, Slack manages her assets through Mary Oppenheimer Daughters, a family office overseeing more than $3 billion in holdings. But here's what separates her from typical billionaire heirs. She doesn't just manage wealth, she deploys it aggressively in industries she's passionate about. Her obsession? Thoroughbred horse racing. Slack owns Wilgerbus Drift Stud Farm in the Western Cape, operating it alongside the family's historic Mauritsfontein farm. Together, they form a breeding powerhouse with about 150 elite mares. Her racing colors, black and scarlet red, are instantly recognizable at every major South African track. The numbers are staggering. In 2024, her farm was the top seller at the country's biggest yearling sale, moving young horses for $1.4 million. One horse she bred sold for $300,000. In 2022, her horse Sparkling Water won the $270,000 Hollywood Bets Durban July. That same year, another of her horses, Claymore, won at Royal Ascot in England, earning her an invitation to become one of the first international owners at Hong Kong's exclusive jockey club. But the real power move came in 2020. When South African horse racing faced collapse during the pandemic, Slack stepped in through her family office with $5.4 million in emergency funding. Then another $29.7 million to restructure the entire sport. She didn't just save an industry she loved, she reshaped it. That's billionaire leverage, spending tens of millions to protect a passion, then having the infrastructure and capital to rebuild it from the ground up. Number 2. Bridgette Radebe. Net worth $800 million to $1 billion. From the Oppenheimer Diamond Dynasty, we shift to a woman who defied apartheid-era laws to become South Africa's first black female mining entrepreneur. Bridgette Radebe didn't inherit her fortune, she fought for it, literally. Born in 1960 during apartheid, Radebe grew up watching her parents battle an oppressive system that stripped black South Africans of mining rights. In 1976, she marched with her family to protest after a Canadian company robbed them of royalty payments for mineral rights on their land. Police and dogs attacked them. That day, she made a decision. She would enter the mining industry, no matter what it took. The problem: legislation explicitly prevented black people from holding mining licenses. Radebe didn't care. In the 1980s, she started as a common contract miner, managing individual shaft operations and producing materials for larger mining companies. She spent over a decade mastering contract mining, mergers, acquisitions, and construction. Then she founded Macau Mining, a company with interests in platinum, gold, uranium, coal, and chrome. Today, it's one of South Africa's most successful mining operations. Her net worth is estimated between $800 million and $1 billion, making her one of the wealthiest self-made women on the continent. But here's what makes her story exceptional. She's the sister of Patrice Motsepe, South Africa's first black billionaire, and Tshepo Motsepe, the country's first lady. All three siblings turned mining into generational wealth, but Bridgette did it by breaking barriers that were designed to keep her out. She served as president of the South African Mining Development Association and sits on the board of Sappi Limited, one of the world's largest paper and pulp companies. She's been named one of Forbes' 20 most powerful women in Africa and has used her platform to advocate for economic empowerment and mining reform. Number 1. Dr. Precious Moloi-Motsepe. Household net worth $3 to $3.4 billion. From diamonds and horses, we arrive at a fortune built on mining, but with a twist that makes this story completely different from everything we've covered. Dr. Precious Moloi-Motsepe is a medical doctor who transitioned into entrepreneurship, high fashion, and large-scale philanthropy. Her household fortune, shared with her husband, mining magnate Patrice Motsepe, sits between $3.1 and $3.6 billion. But what separates her from the other women on this list is how she's chosen to wield that wealth. She founded African Fashion International, a platform dedicated to elevating African designers on the global stage. AFI organizes Cape Town and Johannesburg Fashion Weeks and operates House of Nala, a luxury boutique located in Sandton City, often called the richest square mile in Africa. House of Nala offers personal shopping services and private fittings, positioning itself to compete directly with global luxury brands. This isn't a vanity project, it's a calculated business operation in one of the continent's most expensive retail districts. But the real power move? The Motsepe family joined the Giving Pledge in 2013, committing to donate at least half their wealth to charity. They've followed through with precision. In 2020, the family pledged $54.1 million to South Africa's COVID-19 Solidarity Fund. Dr. Moloi-Motsepe has also directed significant resources toward university scholarships and educational programs. The family owns the Mamelodi Sundowns Football Club, the most dominant soccer team in South Africa, with a squad valued at around 29 million euros. It's a trophy asset, yes, but also a cultural investment that connects the family to millions of fans across the continent. Since 2020, Dr. Moloi-Motsepe has served as Chancellor of the University of Cape Town, one of the most respected academic positions in the country. She's sponsored and attended events like the Met Gala, cementing her status as a patron of the arts and a bridge between African luxury and the global elite. Here's what makes her story the most compelling. She didn't inherit a fortune and manage it conservatively. She didn't just build businesses and stack wealth. She went from medicine to fashion to institutional leadership, all while using her resources to reshape industries, fund education, and elevate African culture on the world stage. That's not just wealth, that's legacy architecture. And that's why she's number 1.